So with that, hello folks.
What
Lindsay
up?
Huddleston with Sports Psychology Solutions back in the building. Got my faithful crew holding it down. First of all, I want to just thank Coach Orlando Watkins and the entire Watkins family for all their support of SPS and what's been going on. Without him, we wouldn't be moving like we are on these platforms, sharing this message far and wide, which has been a goal I've always had. I want to thank my intern for the summer, Mr. Delano DJ Swift, who's been holding me down from day one. Getting together. And we got a young man who's been like right there with us the whole time. You know, young Malachi in the building. Malachi, what's your last name again?
Irvin.
Irvin, that's right. I want to make sure I said it right. Malachi Irvin in the building. He caught the last part of our presentation last week. He was out giving his cousin the business with some basketball, and I understand. Okay, I got you, Orlando. I got you. So now that we have our folks from Facebook Live join us, I'll do a reintroduction. My name is Lindsay Huddleston with Sports Psychology Solutions. I want to thank Coach Orlando Watkins for all that he's been doing to keep us out there with the technology. Also want to thank the whole Watkins clan. Michelle Mimi Watkins has been a great supporter of the SPS Monday Motivation. And Ms. Kyra, fastest in the world, Jefferson, holding it down in Florida, preparing herself for her next level. Mr. DJ Swift, Delano DJ Swift, my able-bodied interns been doing some great work, having a great experience. And also to Malachi Jenkins, correct?
Irvin.
The man just told me his name, and I went right back and said the wrong name. So with that, man, I really want to do a brief recap of what we did last week. I want to thank you, DJ, for bringing together a great group of individuals. You brought Jaden Sutton on board, currently at Huntington College. Basketball player, and had an outstanding career at Waverly High School. Lit him up for 45 points coming off a slump. And we talked about being in the zone and the things that went along with that. I thought that was pretty cool. And also we had Lucas Leak, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Currently at Fair State, and he was coming off
Hope
College.
Yep.
He was coming off a major knee injury, and that was interesting. And that's when Malachi came in and joined us after beating up on his cousin in some basketball outside. So what I want to talk about today with the time that I have, everybody, we got going a little bit later, but I want to talk about goal setting. And that's very important to me in the work I'm doing with SPS, particularly with my book that's going to be out on Monday, June 29th, my birthday. And the reason why I'm emphasizing that is not as a shameless plug for the book, but from what goes with it. So, DJ, what I want to do is I want to tell a brief story about today, about what's been happening with me today. And then I want to get your thoughts and Malachi's thoughts as it relates to goal setting, whether it's about what I'm referring to or what we're going on. So anyway, one thing I talk about when I give my presentations about being mentally tough, and the title of the book is The SPS Edge, A Guide to Mental Toughness in Sports and Life Post-COVID-19, CV-19 that is that you have to set goals. And goals are really dangerous for people, and I mean that by saying a lot of people are fearful of setting major goals because they don't want to set a goal and not reach the goal. They get down on themselves and things like that. We'll talk about that. But I set this goal to have my book completed on my birthday. I always use my birthday, and I want to thank Coach Watkins. A couple years ago on my birthday, he was right there with me when I was with some young people at the Horatio Williams Foundation giving a presentation on mental toughness, and even for the the reception I had later on that night, him and his lovely wife, Michelle, came in to support, and I appreciate them so much. So when I set this goal, DJ and Malachi, it was like a lot of people like, man, you may not want to do that. You're going to have to do this, you got to do that. What I found, though, man, there's so many excuses we can make on why you can't do something. Oh, you rushing it, or you don't want to do this. But when I set the goal to do it, man, I was humping. Like, I had to get stuff done. The last thing I'll say, and I want to get your thoughts on it, you can set a goal, and you can work on that goal morning, noon, and night. But also, life gets in the way. Things happen. And thankful for me, life getting in the way was me just having to drop my car off to get service because this weekend I'm going up north to Traverse City to relax for a little bit, play some golf, and just chill out. I'll get you out there to play some golf soon too, DJ. We'll get out there. But I knew that for me to do all that stuff, I had to get my car taken care of. And I said, let me drop it off today instead of Friday because it may take longer. So anyway, but what I did was instead of waiting on the shuttle at the dealership, shout out to the Kia dealership for looking out, waiting for the shuttle at Kia of Lansing, I said, man, let me just take my bicycle. I put it on the back, and then I can jump off and kind of make moves. Right. You know what I'm saying? I don't got to sit here and wait around. But thankfully, I did that, man, because for me to work on getting my book done, I actually finished, the version of the book that I really want to put out while I was at the Kia dealership. I'm like, boom, 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 boom.
Right.
I finished it, and then I'm working with my publisher, et cetera, et cetera. But the goal is on Monday to have it. So what I'll say to wrap this part up, I had to ride the bike, man, and you know where the Kia dealership of Lansing is, on the south side of Lansing. I had to ride my bike all the way downtown Lansing, which was a hump, to get there, to go to the print shop, just for them to help me do a draft version of it. Not even the original version, because the people going to do the version, they are like in Ohio or something like that.
Right.
So I was running around doing this, and then I got home, then I had to run back. I had to jump in the lift because I didn't have a car, because I wasn't riding my bike back to the Kia dealership. To go back there to get the car. Then I had to be on Jack Ebling's show, because we do a standing call at from 4:30 to 5:30. And then after that, I knew I had to be here. So my point being is, when you set goals, I think it's important to set goals, because goals keep you on track. Now, I could have just been sitting there at the crib just like, oh, man, I'm good. But I've been running since I got up this morning. I had a great workout, did an outdoor workout, man. My trainer, she put me through it this morning. My goodness. Oh, man, my body's still hurting. So I've been going, man, since, like, you laughing at that. Don't worry, you get your training in. You'd have some time off, huh? I've been going since 4 o'clock this morning. I'm not making it about that. So my point being, DJ, tell me what you think. How do you feel when you hear people talk about setting goals? And when you hear what my day was like just for me to reach the goal that I set, why do you think that's important? Just give me your thoughts. And after DJ, you share that, Malachi, I want to get your thoughts too.
Yeah. I mean, it's really funny we're talking about goal setting, because, I mean, you know my dad, and you sound a lot like him in the conversation we have before every season, you know, and if we just have a conversation, he always asks me, you know, what are your goals this season? What do you want to be by the end of the season? You know, what do you want to set? What do you want to do? What do you want to be with paper? You know, so you want to make all conference. You know, what does your percentage want to be? You know, he's always been on me about goals. That's always been back since high school. And I've always seen the importance of setting goals. But for me personally, and like you said earlier, when life gets in the way, like for me, it's hard to set a goal, because I've never been, the way my mind works, I don't look really too far into the future, and I need to do that more. Where I see where goal setting is that important, where if you set where I'm trying to get to this point by this time, then everything you do is now in line to get to that point at that time, you know? So I definitely see the importance of your goals. And then like you said today, you had a goal to get your car to the shop, and you had to do what you had to do around that to what your goal was, which is get the car to the shop. And then you still got the Jack Evelyn show that you did, and then you made it here on time. So, and like I said earlier, like my dad's been preaching goals to me since I can remember. So I see the importance of setting goals. I definitely do it. But for me, it's been hard for me to set multiple goals. Every year you can go in and set that goal as, you know, I want to be an all-conference player. I want to be an all-state player. I want to be all-American, whatever you want to do. But a lot of people, like you said, get that fear too, where I set that goal too high. I don't want to fail. If I fail, then I feel like, you know, I failed. And nobody wants to feel like they failed. So I understand where you're coming from, where everyone comes from when they say goals are very important, but I also see where the hurdles are at and why people are so afraid to set goals.
Wow. That's excellent. I want to pause on that. I want to get Malachi's thought, and we're going to come back to a number of things you said, DJ. So, Malachi, when you hear us talking about goal setting and whatnot, what do you think about that when you hear that?
Well, for me, it's kind of complicated to set like a high goal, because then like while I'm trying to reach that goal, it'll be other goals that come in between. So like, say I set a goal to a 30-day fitness training. I want to do a 30-day fitness training. It'll be other goals that, like, say my mom made for me. Then I'll have to go to that. Then I'll be like, oh, I'm lazy to go to this one. So it's kind of hard for me to set goals like that. I have to do one at a time.
No, that's good. And you make an excellent point, Malachi, when you talk about that. And DJ, I want to come back to you, you know, about setting realistic goals. And then that whole thing about fear of failure, because it's like, we're scared to put it out there because if we don't get it, how are we going to feel? But I think it's also about the goals you set in between. So, for example, if your goal was to set the all conference by the end of the season, it's not realistic just to throw all conference up on the board. Okay, then what does that mean? What does that look like on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis? Then let's break it down a little bit more. What does that look like on a daily basis?
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like on an hourly basis? For me, when I had to do what I had to do today to be able to make it to Jack's show, because guess what? Another life situation got in the way. I forgot my charger. No, I didn't forget my charger. I forgot the little base, not the cord. It was just the base. So I couldn't even plug it to a wall. And on top of that, I have a Mophie. So if I'd have had the Mophie, I'd have been straight. But it's a little thing. So another thing is I didn't properly plan. Because when I left, I took the computer. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take my computer charger. Oh, I can plug, whatever, I'm good. But I wasn't like, I should have been like, nope, take everything you're supposed to have. So talk about that. And the last thing I want to say is when I was on my bike, coming from Lansing to East Lansing and coming around the corner, I remember what time it was. And I had about 6 minutes to spare. So when it comes down to goal setting, man, this thing comes down to minutes and seconds. And the one thing I'll say, the last thing I promise on this is, you'd be amazed at what you can do in a 30-minute increment. A lot of times we'll be like, I'm not scheduling anything for 30 minutes, but if you like, man, even when I was waiting for the lift to come pick me up, it said it was 7 minutes away. I was like, man, I don't know how long it's going to take, so I might as well set up for the show now while I'm waiting on the lift. So give me your take on that, and I'll come to you too, Malachi.
Well, with time specific, like I'll even go back. My school preaches a thing called SMART goals with an exercise science degree, and being a personal trainer. When you have a client and you're trying to get them to reach a certain body goal, you want to know what that goal is. But what a SMART goal is basically an acronym. It stands for specific, measurable, obtainable, relevant, and time-based. I got to pull it up right here. And basically it's specific. You want to find what your specific goal is, because you can be vague, like I said, all conference. But all conference is, there's more than just being, well, I want to be all conference. It's, well, what do I want my shooting percentage to be? What I want to average points wise, assists wise, what I want to do within 5 games. There's a lot of smaller goals you can set within there, and that goes with time based. There is that larger goal that everybody sets. It's the dream goal of what you want to be. But a lot of people forget that there are the smaller steps to get to the top of the mountain. You're not just going to take one big step and get from the beginning all the way to your end goal. It's those small little things, like you said, the little things that people forget and people don't really set up for or plan for, and it comes back and bites them in the butt in the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like the big goal is sexy and looks real good, but the small micro goals are very unattractive and boring.
Yep. It's the same thing for with professional athletes. All we see is them on the court, the glitz, the glamour of them going out there and being the star that they are. But we don't see the 10,000 hours of work that they put in the gym behind the scenes. That's not on camera. It's all connected. Everything is very similar.
Associate head coach at Michigan State, Dwayne Stevens, made an excellent point years ago. I'll never forget this. He said, all you guys see is the name across the ticker on ESPN. To your point, you don't see everything that goes in it. So let's see what we can do to help Malachi, because he was very open about the challenge he has with setting goals. And I think I kind of touched on it earlier when you talk about life gets in the way. Well, in his particular case, because he is definitely a minor, he's definitely under the care of his great mom. His mom represents life getting in the way. You and I, you as a young adult, me as about to be 44, I don't know what you want to call that, on Monday, I'm completely responsible for my situation. But in his particular case, Malachi's case, he still has to have support from his mom, and he still got to follow mom's rules. That's all due respect to mom. So what can we say to Malachi to help him? And Malachi, we want to be able to, help you move along, because I want you to feel that within the confines of your mother's expectations, and she's clearly supportive of you. She's making sure you're on these calls, she's supporting your sports career and whatnot. How can we help Malachi, you think, DJ, to be able to set some goals that still fall within his mother's expectations of taking care of his schoolwork, which is his expectation too, doing what she needs him to do, other child care responsibilities if need be? What do you think, DJ? Malachi, I want to get your thought on that.
Well, I can even say, for me, growing up, I would sit down with my dad and just communication, sit together and create the goals together. Because if you both know what the goals are, then they're not conflicting. Now you're both working towards what that goal is. Now you're not, she's fighting for her goal, you're fighting for your goal. It's two against the goal. You know, it's two against the opponent instead of it being one-on-one.
Very good advice. And to that point, Malachi, I want to get your thought because it makes me think of my mother. When you have a parent who is very focused on achieving things, that communication that DJ talks about is important, because now what you're telling that person is that I am buying in to what you want. Because I know what your mama thinking. Boy, I need you to do what I need you to do. And I'm worried about you being on something. Look at that face. That boy, he's like, you know my mama. But I'm thinking of my mother right now. She's like, no, I need you to do what I need. Because, you know, our parents always look at us as more younger than you are, no matter what you're doing. So to DJ's point, Malachi, what do you think about trying to communicate with your mom, saying, listen, tell me, mama, what it is I got to do for you, because what you want me to do is the priority as your son. But I think if you can put that out there, tell her what you're interested in, and maybe she'll say, okay, I see that you bought in. I can see where you are. So what you think about that, Malachi?
Yeah, to rely on what you were saying, my mom is that way. She invests a lot of time and money in me, and like she does invest a lot of time and money in me. And I want to make her proud for it. Like, I don't want her to invest all this in me and then I just become a failure in life. No, I'm going to grow up and become something for her. She always tells me, every morning she tells me, I want you to be better than me. I want you to be better than your dad. I want you to be better than your grandparents, everybody. And I'm like, yes, Mom, I'm going to be better than you. I'm going to be better than them. And she was like, I'm always like, but yeah, she loves me and she knows I'm going to be good and she wants me to be good. That's why she sets goals for me to achieve high things in life.
So what I'm reminded of as you say this, and I talk about this in the book, something Tom Izzo shared with me years ago. I posed a question to him. I said, Coach, how do you get these guys who come from all over the country, and DJ, you can relate to this too on your team, to come in and buy into something? And he said what he does, he sits them down at the beginning of the season, and he asks, what are their goals? What do they want? And in most cases, those goals always align. But he also uses that to say, well, you told me this is what you want to achieve, so this is what you need to be doing. So going back to your point with your mom, who seems to definitely be making the right kind of impact just by the young man you've showed yourself to be in the times we've been dealing with you, you know, what is it going to take for you to show her that you're buying in, that you get it? Because if you do that, then maybe she'll have some room for you to be able to set up what those goals are so there's no conflict. Now, what do you think about that, DJ? We'll ask Malachi about that before we move on.
Or if he stays on his business, then you know she gonna it's that equal deal. If you handle your end, she'll handle her end. It's you know, that's just the way it should be. And I could tell by the way you talk about her. You know, she loves you, and you love her enough to where you're gonna do what you got to do to make her proud. And at the end of the day, like I always like my mom's love for me. And like you said earlier, Lindsay, they always look at you like you're younger than what you actually are. I'm 20 years old now, facial hair, and my mom still treats me like I'm a baby. So that love is never going to go away. But granted, throughout my high school career and even now in college, you know, I've handled my business. I made sure that I got what I had to get done, and I made sure that I wasn't slacking off and falling off in the wrong direction. And they held up their end because I held up mine.
So what you're talking about, DJ, and this is for our viewers to get this, is accountability. When you can show, say, a person, whether it's your mother, your father, your coach, that you're going to do what they're asking you to do, then they can buy in and say, I got to bring it in. I think too many times we say, this is what I want, but you're not doing what you're supposed to do or what I've asked of you. Malachi, what do you think about that?
I mean, everything he said is true. Literally everything he said, that's what I'm dealing with right now. Everything.
Well, what's going to happen is, and it probably doesn't happen when you expect it, and you can tell me too, because by me knowing your dad, DJ, talk about that moment where you were surprised when your dad looked at you and said, oh, okay, go ahead, you're good.
Yeah, I mean that was really the big move, you know, moving away from them.
And recap that for people who don't know. I know about it, but recap that situation.
Yes, I went to Waverly High School. I went to Waverly schools my whole life, and then all the way up to sophomore year, And then me and my dad sat down with my mom, had a big talk, and I decided to transfer to Kalamazoo, Lloyd North, which is about an
And
hour
talk about
away.
the geographical distance between Lansing and
Yeah,
Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo's about an hour southwest of Lansing. So I was
Almost 100 miles away.
Yeah, so I was 15, going on 16 years old, moving away from home, moving in with my grandmother, and just completely different life. Just like grandma living and dad living, it was completely different, more freedom with dad.
Oh, it was more freedom with dad?
Yeah, because dad, Kevin Hart even says it bad. When dad babysits, it's kind of just they listen. So, but dad was real laid back and real cool. But that goes back to like with the accountability thing. Ever since I was real little, my dad always said I was more mature than my actual age and the way I act and present myself. And I've always just tried to make sure that I presented myself that way, because you never know who you're gonna come against or who you're gonna talk to or meet on that day. But with the accountability, like with the maturity and stuff, when I left for school, and my dad was like, all right, well, you're gonna be on your own. I'm a phone call away, but phone call is still an hour drive. So that conversation that we had before I left, and then for him to be able to just say, all right, I'm okay with it. I'm gonna miss your last 2 years of high school, but you're going somewhere that's gonna be better for you. I trust you. You're gonna get what you need to get done, and now the rest is history. I did what I did, and now I'm where I'm at now.
I mean, you absolutely did. And I want to tell you what I remember about that. I remember talking to your dad, and I remember him saying what was happening. I was like, wow, because I viewed your dad as a very, strong-minded individual. I say that with respect. But also for him to be like, dang, like I'm faced with a situation, and he was confident enough in who you were as a young man to sign off. I felt him. I was like, wow. DJ, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That was tough on really the whole family, because like I said, like I had to get everybody together and have a conversation, and like me and my dad had talked about the idea before, and we never really thought it would be something, but then finally it was just the tipping point where I was like, Dad, we got to get out of here, and we finally just did it, and we sat down and had to talk, and we drove down there and registered for school, and now I'm down there for the last 2 years. But it seemed that at the moment it happened so fast. Looking back at it, it's just like 1 minute I was here, and next minute I'm in a completely different house, new room, new bed, new sheets, new TV, new dresser, new everything. Everything was new.
And new school too.
Yeah, new school, new people. Everything was just like that was new. That's how it felt.
Now with that change, the whole challenge of being overwhelmed by the change, did that allow you to lock in on basketball a little bit more?
Oh, definitely. Because when I first got there, I was like, first day of class, I'm gonna get my books in order or whatever. I'm gonna get everything set, see how classes are gonna fill it out. And then I'd already talked to the coach before that. We had done some 4-man workouts and stuff like that. But when I moved there, I didn't know anybody except for family members, and my family was younger than me, and none of them played basketball. So it was like, it's time to focus. It's what you came here for. Is what you need to do. And especially like shout out to my coach, Coach Koval, Matthew Koval. He's now assistant coach at K College, but he was the head coach at Lloyd North, and he really helped me settle in. Where before I had a car there, he would give me rides, and we would go hoop at his house, and let the gym in and get some shots up. So it was really just the transition was it was a lot easier because basketball was a part of it. Because the basketball has always been the escape to go away when I needed somewhere to go, and if that's all I had to focus on, I was good.
Well, that's a great story for our listeners. And before we wrap up, I want to get a few more things in. Malachi, could you imagine your sophomore year in college? Well, it was your junior year, DJ?
It was going into junior year.
Can you imagine going into your junior year, you left Detroit and moved an hour away to Lansing to go to high school? Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Why do you? Okay, can you imagine having that conversation with your mother and she's saying, "Okay, that's good, you can do it."
I cannot imagine her saying, "That's good, I can do it."
That's the right answer. My mom was definitely not on board at first. It took a lot of convincing.
Well, what helped convince your mother?
I think it's the same thing where she trusted me. She trusted in me. She had confidence in me as a man to be able to hold down hold everything out on my own.
So stop right there with that. And I want our listeners to hear this. You don't win that trust overnight.
Yeah.
You gained that trust over years.
Yeah, that started back in 4th grade, you know.
So to our listeners out here, and I think it's important, you got a great opportunity to go away, play, and that help you set off your college career, and that's going to help you for your great quality of life. I think it's important to note, you can't be known for doing little stupid stuff that's going to get you in trouble because you just want to have fun with everybody. Now, if you'd had a lot of the pranks under your belt or juvenile activity that got you in trouble, that was over the top just because you wanted to hang with the fellas or with the young ladies, your parents wouldn't be okay with you leaving. Am I right?
Right. Exactly.
So I say that to say for people, you know, who don't mess up your opportunity, because it wasn't about could you go and be successful playing basketball at Lloyd Norris. It wasn't about that. It was about would your parents trust you going.
Yeah. Especially with my mom. Especially my mom, because basketball wasn't even an aspect, you know. She was more about it. Her big thing was if you get your grades right, then you can stay. You know, then you can go, and that was her thing. So it was a lot more than sports.
Wow. What do you think about that, Malachi?
Oh, that's how my mom is. She likes me playing basketball and all, but she wants me to do way more than just basketball. She wants me to study other stuff.
That's good. Well, here's what I want to say, man, as we get ready to wrap up, and I'd love to get you guys to give some final thoughts before we do that. We've had a good, solid 25, 30 minutes. I think that's really good enough for people to pick up on and look at it. There are opportunities available every day. Every day you get up, there's an opportunity. But the question remains, is that opportunity going to present itself for you, and are you going to be ready for it? Meaning that when you had the opportunity to go to Lloyd Norris to play, were you ready for it? But you were ready because over the years, you proved yourself. Same thing you with Malachi. That's the same thing. I get opportunities now with the things that I'm doing only because the work I've been doing leading up to it did. And in most cases, the opportunity you get, you weren't planning for it. You weren't like, man, let me be good so one day I can leave as a junior and go move to Kalamazoo, right? You weren't doing that. But the opportunity presented itself, and you had your business, so that was it. So as we wrap up, DJ, I want to get your feedback, just kind of, you know, capturing the things that we talked about goal setting, because we kind of talked about goal setting at the beginning, but then we also talked about the importance of you being accountable. And Malachi, I just want to get your thoughts on what you took from this too, and then we can wrap up with that.
So, like, I mean, accountability and goal setting is right along. If you can't hold yourself accountable to make sure you get them goals done, then what are you setting those goals for? You know, it's if you're gonna set a goal and then give up on it halfway through, you're just wasting energy at that point, wasting time. So, you know, if you're gonna set a goal to, for example, like me, if I want to be all conference in the Midwest Conference, and then I sit and don't do anything all day, what was the point of me setting that goal? What was me of even saying that? And that's why whenever I had that conversation with my father, when he asked me, what are your goals this season? I really got to sit down and think, you know, what can I do and what will be reasonable and obtainable within the work that I put.
I like that a lot. Malachi, what do you have for us?
I did learn some things tonight from DJ Delano, right?
Delano or DJ, doesn't matter.
Delano. Yeah, I did learn some things from him today. Basically, like, I learned that I have to earn my mom and my dad's trust now. So in the future, they would trust me to do things that I want to do when I get older.
For sure,
man. It warms my heart just to hear that make its way around from DJ's story and being able to be articulated, and this young man to hear it and be like, okay, I see that, which means that we're doing our job. So I want to thank Coach Orlando Watkins, for always being steady. I want to thank you for all that you've been doing. I want to wish you good health. I know you're a little bit under the weather. I want to thank DJ Swift, able-bodied intern, doing some great things, but dropping some great knowledge. More than an intern. That's just the title. He's more than that. And Mr. Malachi Irvin, for all that you're doing and just being so receptive to what we're talking about and what you bring. So when you ask questions and when you talk about your scenario, if you notice, when you said what was going on with you, that kind of shifted focus to say, okay, well, how do we break this down? You know, and to everyone who's on Facebook Live, who's watching and supporting, Coach Watkins' platform, my platform, DJ's platform. Malachi, you don't have a Facebook, do you?
No.
All right, yeah, about to say, don't tell on yourself. I got a couple accounts, right? You got to burn a Facebook up. So with that, guys, this is Lindsey Ellison with Sports Psychology Solutions. So next week, the plan is it'll be a different setting. DJ and I will literally be together at looking at Everett High School's football practice. I'll be addressing their football players, talking about the book, The SPS Edge, A Guide to Mental Toughness in Sports and Life Post CV-19. But Malachi, we look forward to having you back on as well in Orlando. We know you're going to be helping get the word out. So with that, I want to thank you guys. I want you guys to go ahead and have a great week. Next time you see me, I'll be a whole 44 years old, making my way out here. And we're going to keep it moving. So with that, man, I thank you guys, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much.
All right.